At the moment, Australians, of course, are going to the polls, and people have been out voting today, and this election is incredibly important. Over the course of the last 3 years, people have gone through the biggest drop in living standards in any other country compared to any other country in the world. We need to make sure that we can get our country back on track, that we can help manage the economy, that we can reduce the costs in the economy, that we can provide a 25 cent a litre cut to fuel to help families now until we can sort out the energy system mess and make sure that we can bring down the prices of food. We also have a great plan to help young home buyers get into housing. We need to make sure that we can help them achieve the dream of home ownership, and we also want to make sure that we can keep our country safe, and that's some of what I want to talk about tonight.
Labor's plan is to build Australia's future and to build your family's future. We have immediate support through cost of living assistance whilst making sure that we invest in the future. Tax cuts for every taxpayer, stronger Medicare, 5% deposits for people wanting to buy their first home, 20% reduction in student debt, making sure, in addition to that, that we support better schools and fairer funding for our school system, and we make more things in Australia. We can't determine what the world throws at us, but we can determine how we respond. We're going to respond the Australian way by backing our values and trusting our people.
Perhaps the one consistent with both your campaigns is you've accused each other of lying. Here is the chance to refute one of the the biggest lie, if you will, that you think each other has told. Mr Dutton, we'll start with you.
Just one?
Just one.
Cheers, Charles. Making it hard. $600 billion figure comes from a company that is a donor to the Labor Party, full of Labor staffers, discredited, and it is at odds with the $120 billion figure for the construction of nuclear power sites, which is the CSIRO figure. That's one. The $275 obviously is another broken promise. In relation to Medicare, the whole Medicare scare campaign, which has been going on at subsequent elections for a long period of time. The fact is that bulk billing has plummeted under this Prime Minister. People can't afford to go to the doctors because the out-of-pocket expense now is about $43 per person when you're going to the doctor.
Well, Medicare is at the centre of this campaign, and we will strengthen Medicare. Peter uses a figure about bulk billing that takes into account the fact that Australians had to get COVID shots during the pandemic, and that boosted artificially the numbers. But the truth is bulk billing was in free fall because the incoming Liberal government, the last time they won, ripped $50 billion out of the hospital system. This minister, when Peter was the health minister, tried to introduce a GP tax which would have abolished bulk billing altogether. And when he couldn't do that, what happened was that there was a 6-year freeze on the Medicare rebate, which sent bulk billing into freefall. Now, during this campaign, Peter has not said where the money is coming from for his nuclear power stations. He won't go anywhere near them. He was in Orange today, just near Lithgow, won't go near them. And he won't go near them because he knows that it just doesn't stack up, which is why the private sector won't fund them. And now, what Peter wants the viewers at home to do is to vote for him. There'll be cuts afterwards, he's just confirmed that, but they won't tell you what they are. Now, that's just not being fair income. In the budget, prior to you coming to office, you ripped $80 billion out of those two items in 2014.
Prime Minister, you couldn't lie straight in bed, honestly. This is unbelievable.
You can go to abuse.
No, well, it's just,
you can go to
personal
reality. Abuse. That's a sign of desperation, Peter, frankly.
As is lying.
That's a sign of desperation. Go to the 2014 budget papers. People can do that online. It's all available for all to see.
The last time Coalition won from opposition, Tony Abbott had a very clear, simple slogan: stop the boats, end the waste, repeal the carbon tax. People knew what they were voting for. What does the Coalition stand for, other than being against Albanese?
Well, Ellie, we're for a cut of 25 cents a litre in people's fuel, which is...
But not the talking points. Not like we've heard that tonight. Like, what do you stand for?
You can distill that to cut the tax, cut the fuel tax, or however you want to present it. But it's a 25 cent a litre reduction in fuel from day one.
Mr Albanese, last election, there were some who felt like you ran a campaign of "I'm not Scott Morrison," and there are some who feel this time that you're running a campaign of "I'm not Peter Dutton." Are you hoping to win by default?
Not at all. I have a very clear philosophy that can be summed up with two phrases, really. No one left behind, but no one held back. What do I mean by that? No one left behind, that the vulnerable people, that's why we are putting additional money into public housing. That's why we changed the single parenting payment. That's why we increased rental assistance by 45%.
If you're unsuccessful on May 3, should Labor accept the verdict of the people and reconsider its opposition to the moratorium on nuclear power?
Well, no one will invest in it, Phil. That's the fact.
Well, it's illegal at the moment, that's why.
Because John Howard put in place the ban.
We'll lift the moratorium and let the market
And
work it
David
out.
Crisafulli doesn't support lifting it, nor does the Victorian opposition leader, nor in New South Wales. This is a friendless policy because it doesn't stack up. That's why the business community signed up to our plan for 43% reduction by 2030. Renewables, but backed by gas, backed by hydro, and backed by batteries.
So I've got a few rapid fire questions I want to throw at you both. 10 seconds, as we agreed. I'll get you both to answer. Will you do a deal with minority parties, Prime Minister?
No.
Mr Dutton?
Not with the Greens, but with independents. And that's not a truthful answer from the Prime Minister there.
Yes, it is.
It's not. The Labor Party will fall over themselves to do a deal with the Greens. That's the reality.
It's just
You preference them, they preference
an
you.
untruth put forward by Peter, who's part of a coalition. The only party that's trying to form government in our own right is the Australian Labor Party.
Okay, so if it's a hung parliament, it means we go back to the polls, and as long as there's not another election campaign.
So, Prime Minister, you won't form a government with the Greens?
No.
You won't enter into any arrangements with the Greens?
No, I won't.
Okay.
Okay, 4-year
Very simple,
terms.
as I've said consistently, as I said before the last election.
4-year terms, yes or no? Mr Dutton?
I support 4-year terms.
Prime Minister?
Yes, but they'll never support a referendum.
Okay, what will be the first item on your to-do list if you are re-elected, Prime Minister?
I've said we'll introduce legislation to cut student debt by 20%.
And you, Mr Dutton?
We'll introduce our 25 cent a litre cut to the fuel tax. We'll introduce the $1,200 tax rebate. We'll provide support to first home buyers. And
Well, you've got to do
implement
it quickly because it disappears in a year.
Well,
so you'll
it'll
have to get it done
It'll take a while to clean up your mess if that's the point. And then we'll reform the energy system because the renewables only
Our
energy
changes
system
are permanent.
is
It was a
killing
10-second
the
answer.
economy.
Okay, thank you kindly.